Edit the name of the video, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it right. But what I meant to label this as is the only innocent victim of mine through all of this is Donald Trump. Let me explain this to you. Have me and Donald Trump ever spoken? No. Do I blame him for all the things that everybody blames him for? No. Don't get me wrong, I don't agree with his politics, and I definitely don't agree with his ideology, but at the same time, he is just a figurehead. Okay? That's like blaming everything in the Third Reich on Adolf Hitler. No, a lot of people had to go along with him for that to happen. That means a lot of people had to screw up really big for that to happen. The Night of the Long Knives, you might want to look that up. Did Adolf Hitler go and kill over 200 people in one night? By himself? With no help? No, he didn't kill anybody. Literally, he killed none of those people. Fritz Sauckel and Heinrich Himmler, on the other hand, were both known for literally pulling out their gun and just shooting Jews in the head. Blam! End of story. Now let's get to my story and Donald Trump. Where does Donald Trump come in all of this? Why is it that Donald Trump's name is being brought up in my stories when I've never met the guy? I don't know the man in person. I don't know what kind of a person he is in person. But he is an innocent victim. There was August of 2018. I had to do something desperate, try to get the cops to do something. Try to get the FBI involved. I had to either do something across multiple jurisdictions, multiple states, or I had to do something real dangerous and desperate. I settled on a battle plan. My battle plan was that I was going to go to Ken and Leah's house, and I was going to light the road on fire next to their vehicle. And then I was going to drive to Chapel. Well, at first I was going to douse the whole vehicle in gasoline and light it on fire. But then I was worried if I lit the tires on the passenger side on fire, or got any sort of fire or anything near it, there's a possibility those would explode and they might possibly injure somebody, and not having that. So what I ultimately resulted in doing was lighting a fire next to the road. Now, then there's, of course, after that, what I was going to do, and this is only because all these people who had told me that they would help me, promised that they would help me, swore up and down that they loved me, and so on and so forth. I mean, through all of 2018, I'm getting empty promises from people like Mandy Hughes, who I didn't know in person. She met me over one of these nut job lib sleuth places. But I did get to meet her in person, and she was a very nice lady, and I got to meet two of her daughters as well. Now, as much as I want to believe that the stories that she told me were true, those needed to come out in court. If what she said was true, then the people that she went to committed felonies, not just against her, but also against me. They broke the law, they broke protocol, and the thing is, just like with people today, they want to do things without me on my behalf, not knowing what the hell is going on, and then tell me that they did it and that should be good enough. Well, what you're literally doing at that point is asking me just to take your word for it. Meanwhile, you're refusing to look at actual evidence, and your excuse later on is going to be that you didn't see any of it. Really? Because I already posted up screenshots that show I sent you quite a bit of evidence already. Stuff that if you bothered to actually look or listen, bothered to actually care, and you tell me about how busy your life is. 6 years, okay? 6 years. When I needed you to actually write that character reference and actually help to get that done. Well, it would have been nice if that would have been done in a timely and efficient manner instead of taking literally years. And you can see on the messages, and also mind you, like I went back for years and years and years. I also took screenshots as the situations were happening. I can show that Caitlin Tatum literally wasn't looking at any of the stuff that I was sending her. What did it take for her to notice that I still exist? And mind you, I kept a screenshot of this too. I don't hide the things that I do. I don't hide them. I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to do these things to begin with. I don't have a family member or friend to help me with this. I just don't. When it comes down to it, people are going to make excuses at the last minute, as always. Like when Claire was going to help me, but then again, Casey wanted to hang out with her. He wanted to spend his time hanging out with her. I'm running around helping them out with their batteries so they don't freeze and so they can help me like they said they would. And yeah, he didn't make any effort. Casey said that he would help me with that. Basically getting her off the hook. She didn't have to keep her word anymore. I did the work in exchange for help. That was the agreement that we made. There's also the time that I showed up and I was trying to talk to Claire about the situation and Casey just wouldn't shut up. He wouldn't stop making jokes. By the way, I like Claire. I love her personality. I like Casey. I think he's funny. He's very witty. He's highly intelligent. But also, he knew exactly what he was doing. He was robbing me of help because he wanted to be selfish with my time. That was my time. That was my time with Claire. Not to cuddle, not to canoodle, not to kiss, not to try to make babies, but to try to get the help that he also was going to provide but didn't. Both of them on multiple occasions before they met each other were going to help me and didn't. And I come to expect it. The thing is, when I speak up about complacency, it's because I have to show the truth. I have to show why it is that my loved ones are corpses in pine boxes. No, they're not in pine boxes. That's not what they do to homeless people. It's cheaper to cremate us like they did to the Jews. What happens if you're a Jewish homeless person that nobody cares about? You're cremated. What happens if you're a Muslim homeless person that nobody cares about? You're cremated. What happens if you're a Christian homeless person that nobody cares about? You're cremated. How about if you're Catholic? How about if you're an atheist? How about if you're a Satanist? It don't matter. You get cremated. You go into the oven and you come out as powder. That's the reality of our situation. When one of us disappears, the cops won't even take a report. We've got dozens of homeless people on here talking about their loved ones going missing and the police won't take a report. Many of us are threatened, harassed, and intimidated until we leave. And if we're not, we're beaten, assaulted, charged with crimes that never happened, sent to mental hospitals, and possibly even injected with drugs that'll kill us. Like Deborah Hatay and Elijah McClain. Sometimes they beat us to death, like Thomas Kelly. Six officers took direct action in beating the man, knowing that he was schizophrenic, knowing that he was scared. On camera, they beat the man to death. And according to what the spokesperson said, there was over 20 officers involved in investigating it, and somehow she said 24, I believe. And somehow out of those 24 people with badges, they found their co-workers not guilty. They found their co-workers did not do anything wrong in literally beating the man to death. He wasn't trying to assault them. He wasn't trying to beat them up. He wasn't trying to bite them. He wasn't trying to kill them. He wasn't trying to stab them. He wasn't trying to shoot them. And he was screaming for help. Just like I was while the police were beating me and assaulting me. Just like Michelle Clark. Just like Michelle Clark, I asked for their supervisor, just like Michelle Clark. Michelle Clark threw me away. Who is it that helped to coordinate with the other victims and try to get them to work together? And try to coordinate with Darren O'Connor. Try to get it all put together so they could turn it in and tell the media. And literally, I worked together with Darren O'Connor to make that happen. And what happened? Well, the news did pick it up. Tony Kovaleski. He picked up the situation with Waylon Lolita, and guess what? I was so surprised after all the hard work that I had put in, after all of the coordination that I had done to try to help us, the homeless, to put a stop to this. Darren O'Connor admitted that it's because he didn't even mention me. He said it's because my situation is too complicated. Imagine that, too complicated 6 years ago. The reality of it is that Darren O'Connor was in contact with me before Natalie was killed. He was in contact with me before Natalie was even a part of my life. He and I were speaking about getting electronic recording equipment to be able to actually record the police. And since then, since Natalie's death, I've actually finally been able to do that. Not that anyone cares. I show you the tactics by which they are murdering us. I show that it's not just us that they're murdering through this complacency and ignorance. I show you that it's happening in Hardin, Montana. You still don't care. Those are brown people. Nobody cares about brown people. Well, guess what? I do. I do. Those brown people have been taking care of me. Them brown people have been recognizing what you guys are intentionally looking away from. Them brown people understand that some of us just can't ask our mommy and daddy. Some of us don't have extra money hanging out in a bank account. Some of us don't have co-signers. Some of us don't have somebody else who's helping to cover the overhead. Some of us don't have the luxury of going to work. How I would love that. To have a good back again. No, I got to tell you, when I did threaten lives, and I absolutely admit that I did, when I was doing all them threatening of them lives, it's because my battle plan for lighting 2 fires in 2 different states, I was going to light the fire down there at Ken and Leah's. That was down in Inglewood. And then I was going to drive to Chapel, Nebraska. I knew that they had a police cruiser. By the way, I noticed that after I made the video explaining what I was planning on doing, they stopped leaving a police cruiser in front of the courthouse. That's right. What are they afraid of? They're afraid that I'll actually follow through with the plan that I gave up on. See, I only got halfway there, and I was tired and I was exhausted, and I couldn't think of anything else to do. I wasn't going to be able to make it to the border and get it done in time. I also knew that if I didn't tell on myself and tell on myself on the internet, or my predators could turn it in, I wasn't going to get hurt or taken seriously, and nobody would know. None of my friends would even care. They wouldn't bother to find out why it is that I had to do such a thing. The reality is, all of them know why I had to do such a thing. It's because they pretended to be my friends, led me on, wasted my resources, wasted my time, went out of their way to play fucking retarded because they didn't want to be honest. They didn't want to admit that they screwed up. And why would they? I mean, you got to look at it from their perspectives. Look at Miss Peaches. That's Kayla Trujillo. Imagine how shitty she felt after over a year of me going to her for help. After all of the time and money and energy that I had spent going there to get her help. To wait for days and days there. Buying cigarettes. Buying weed for the household. Buying food. Going out and panhandling so they have food in the house. And what was she doing during those periods of time? Well, during the day we couldn't because her kids were awake. We had to wait for her kids to go to bed. Then when her kids went to bed, well, then it was time for her to play video games. If Raja was home, then, she couldn't actually help me because the kids were still up. But also the fact that, even though Raja could have taken care of the kids by himself and me and her could have gone outside, or we could have locked ourselves in her bedroom with my computer for a bit, she could have found out what's going on, but repeatedly she just didn't. She'd say if I came over that she'd help me, and I'd be there for days going, when am I going to get my turn? Sitting in the corner meek as a mouse, because if I speak up and I interrupt her while she's playing her video games, she's angry with me because that's her downtime. That's her downtime with Raja. Or she's got to go out and go to the dispensary for Dawn so that he's got some weed. Or she's got to go do some other errand for somebody else. But she's going to help me. She's going to help me. And she finally, after all of that effort and all of that time, and not just with her, I had hope that just one of the people who claimed that they loved me and claimed to care about me would actually stop and listen and try to understand. They just couldn't stop. Couldn't stop talking about themselves. And then even after my friends are dead, because nobody wanted to listen to me, I still get to hear from all these people about, well, when I call them out, they sure as fuck don't like it. I understand. You have any idea what it feels like when you have to be afraid of somebody trying to pretend that you're a child molester or a rapist who obviously wasn't there, obviously isn't the victim or the supposed victim? They're just harming you because they heard a rumor, like Robert Franklin Warnick, like Derek Apodaca, like Officer Waylon Lolatai, like the general public. I was made out to be some sort of big, huge, giant predatory monster that'll eat your children and feed your dogs to your firstborn and all this other crazy lunatic stuff. Oh. Now, my plan to go light that police cruiser on fire didn't work. I went, you know what, I don't have to leave. You know, here's what's going through my head at that point in time, and I haven't slept in a while, and I'm getting harassed by people everywhere I go. I've got people in Chapel, Nebraska, like Christopher Kurth and Carl Snell, threatening to kill me and fucking harassing me repeatedly. And, you know, Carl Snell eventually, he realized what he was doing was fucked up, and he tried to make amends for that. And I want to take this short, brief commercial interjection from Donald fucking Trump's bullshit ass and the situation I'm in, which obviously none of this is Donald Trump's fault. Donald Trump probably doesn't even know I fucking exist. Donald Trump probably has no idea that instead of hopping across jurisdictional borders to light a fire and hope the FBI, who I'd already repeatedly tried to contact and had blown me off, instead of going that route, I went, you know what? People are going to continue threatening to kill my family as long as I'm out. They're going to keep trying to paint me as a boogeyman, making all of my loved ones targets. And yes, there's a lot of evidence from these people who claim that they love me and claim to be my friends, that they manipulated me after promising to help. They manipulated me by pretending that people were threatening to kill them and their families. How do I know they were pretending? I don't. But it seems to me that whenever there's been a mother that I've known whose child was actually being threatened like that, they've always gone to the cops. They've always tried. Many of these people claim that they did. Did they ever come forward to the public about it? No. Sarah Bacon, I had to record conversations with her and post them up to show that for years and years, yes, absolutely, people were going to help me. They just had their own problems. Sarah Bacon shouldn't have offered to help. She was an alcoholic. She knew she was an alcoholic. I didn't. You know how I found out? That first conversation I recorded with her on my YouTube channel. She was drunk when I called. Everybody wanted to do what it is that you do when it's a male. You tell him that he's got to do it himself, or you procrastinate. If it's a woman who comes to you and says that she was beaten by her husband, you'll go in with her immediately to turn it in. Every woman and every man who have told me that they don't know what to do, every single one of them knows exactly what to do. They won't do it because they're sexist. They won't do it because I'm not female. They won't do it because they are all sexist, whether they want to admit it or not. If I was a woman, would you allow these things to happen? Natalie Bollinger and her friends, zero evidence of the shit that they're claiming. And of course, it doesn't matter because I was never even allowed to go to court. I was repeatedly arrested on bogus charges. I was also arrested for things that I actually did, and they kept on dropping those charges. I'm like, hold on a second. I committed this crime so that I could plead guilty. Why are you dropping the charges? I literally had to commit this crime to try to get you guys to do your jobs. You think we can maybe take this to court? Can we please get this into court? I should not have to do these things to get it into court. People are fucking dead. Jesus Christ, do your jobs. Fuck, I know this thing is supposed to work. Alright. So what did I do? Well, I threatened to kill the people who threatened to kill my family. I threatened to kill the people who threatened to kill me. I threatened to kill the people who assaulted me. I didn't use any of their names. I was very specific too. And it was definitely pointed at one of my predators. It was pointed at Alicia Bollinger. Not as a threat against her life. What I had actually stated was that all of her friends who had threatened to kill me and threatened to kill my family, if she doesn't come forward, that I'm going after them. But I didn't say going after. I literally used the words. And when people say, Sean, you're a liar. No, I'm actually not. I literally did. I literally did threaten to kill the President of the United States at the same time. See, that's what prevented me from going up there all the way to Nebraska, Dual County, and lighting that sheriff's vehicle on fire. See, I wasn't going to go just lighting a random vehicle on fire. First of all, I had to find a way to make sure that it was connected to me. I had to make sure that it was something that would be federal, so I had to do it across jurisdictional borders. And of course, I had to... My conscience wasn't going to allow me to do that no matter what. I mean, just the sheer quantity of psyching myself up that it took to light the fire at Ken and Leah's on the road. I mean, this wasn't my plan. I ultimately settled on just a strip next to the vehicle on the road. But that's not something I wanted to do. That was a situation with Stephanie Mejia, or not Stephanie Mejia, God, what's her name? Well, and Lexi Woods. Lexi Woods was getting beaten up by her boyfriend, and then while she was inviting me to come over, and she was actually going to help me, that's when her boyfriend showed up, the boyfriend that she was not able to help me before because he was beating on her. Well, now they're back together again, and you just see how complicated that becomes. So, of course, I stopped at the Love's Travel Center there on the way to Nebraska, and I pulled over. And I went into the subway and I sat down at the computer, and it would barely work. It didn't want to do nothing. The internet there sucked. It sucked. But I was able to threaten the President of the United States. I was able to make sure that that threat was there. I was able to make sure that it was public for people to see. And when I was absolutely certain that enough people had seen it, especially since every one of my predators, every one of these people who wanted to root on for the fucking Bollinger family, a bunch of rapists and pedophiles and fucking drug dealers. These are child abusers. And they did exactly what one would expect them to do in the United States of America. Blame a homeless person. Blame a homeless person. Nobody fucking cares. You're a senator and you're pissed off at the president. You can't take it out on the president, so you go take it out on a homeless person. Your boss is a senator. He's a fucking dick. You can't stand him. But the pay is good. So you're not going to take it out on your boss. There's somebody below you on the totem pole, isn't there? Now, each one of them has a varying degree of rights, and the further you go down the totem pole, the easier it is to shit on somebody, and who is easier to shit on than a homeless person? Especially since you've got the built-in excuse that they must be on drugs. They must be mentally ill. They must have chosen it. They must have deserved it. Well, hold on a second. If you're going to call them mentally ill and then say that they chose it, well, what are their chances of getting a decent paying job? One where they're going to get paid enough that they can actually survive on if they're mentally ill. It's just not very fucking good. Mentally disabled people are dependent. They are dependent. They don't get enough money to live on. They are required to do things with that money that they are not capable of doing, especially given the fact that that money is supposed to be used for them to survive on. How is I going to be able to feed myself or take care of myself with all of my money going to gas so that I could go see predators, so that I could go to court dates that I had for trying to turn in predators? Being ultimately, literally forced to break the law because all of my friends, through all of this, going all the way back before Natalie was killed, you can see that I reached out to friends. I reached out to them. I absolutely did, and they did not give a shit. You can see that while I'm posting on my Facebook about being assaulted and people threatening to kill my family, and I'm also at that point in time posting up about how people always come to me and say, hey, I need help, I got kids. But when it comes down to it, even though they say, hey, Sean, if you ever need my help, just let me know. If I let them know, their excuse is going to be, I can't, I have kids. That was before Natalie was killed. And then afterwards, you get to see all these women who claimed to be my friend, claimed that they were going to tell the truth, told me all of these things that they didn't tell the public, they didn't tell the police, they didn't tell the media, they made zero effort to do so. Some of them claim that they did, but they don't know the name of the officer or even the jurisdiction. They don't have any copy of what they told that officer. They don't have any audio recordings or video recordings or photocopies of jack shit. It's just their word. And it's just their word to me. And nobody listens to me. That's the reason I went to them. Nobody will listen to me. You telling me is the opposite of help. You're wasting my time. Tell the cops. Tell the public. So I was there at that Love's Travel Center, and I got on there, and I threatened to kill the President of the United States. I was like, you know what, that'll work. It's a mandatory 20-year sentence. If I'm locked up in prison for 20 years, nobody's going to threaten to kill Candace Bondurant or her kids or try to throw them out in the snow over this. Nobody's going to threaten to kill my niece or my sister. Nobody's going to threaten to kill Carl Rogers or send her pictures of her son with a noose around his neck. Later on, I found out who it was that did that. That was Aaron Cockerham, who also pretended to be Layla Johnson's sister. And, of course, she's also still friends with Dan Faber, and Dan Faber was supposed to be helping me and was going to help me, but instead it was a situation with Layla Johnson. And although in his recordings it shows the situation with Layla Johnson is what I said it was. She thought she was in love with me and all this other crazy shit. She was catfishing, and it was nuts. But he wasn't planning on helping. He helped to gaslight. That's what he did. That's what most of these people did. They helped my predators. Now that Missy Layla Johnson, Layla Dunan, Layla whatever she goes by now, like that shit was fucking insane. And that's the help that I had. And Shannon Alvarado, you know, if Kara Johnson Miles, the lady that she had exposed to me months earlier, but she literally made zero attempt whatsoever, not even the closest thing to even being considered an effort to turn that in to the police. Not with me or otherwise. By her own admission, she just wanted to argue. Give me excuses why it doesn't work. Well, I'm in a different state. Well, Kara Johnson Miles was able to do so from a different state. If these people had actually made a fucking effort instead of blowing smoke up my ass, And these are the people who are actively involved because they saw it on web sleuth shows and shit. Meanwhile, my friends, people who claim to care about me, people who I kept safe, they want to look the other way and tell me about their piddly shit. Who's threatening to kill your family? How many times have you been forced to move? You want to tell me just to let it go? If people are threatening to kill your family, you just going to let it go? If people are assaulting you, are you just going to let it go? If your friends and family look the other way and pretend you don't fucking exist, are you just going to let it go? No, you're not. Now, is it true that I threatened the life of the president at that point in time of the United States? Is it true that I threatened his life? Yes, I did. I did. I absolutely did. And I also threatened the lives at that point in time of all of the people who were being predatory towards myself and my loved ones. Now, of course, her family, after the gaslighting that they got busted doing, it, but Shannon Alvarado's a fucking drunken, alcoholic, fucking lying goddamn idiot. Is that my fault? People are quite often and quite fond of saying it's not my fault. No, actually it is. It is your fault. I'm not the one looking the other way. I'm not the one making excuses. If you were a friend, you would have done what I did for you. When Desiree was stuck in that trap house and she needed a rescue, did Christine Buhit go rescue her? No, Christine Buhit got a hold of me because she knew I would actually fucking do something. All Christine Buhit was going to do was sit back and enjoy shooting up. Oh. I'm tired of all the bodies. I'm tired of all the bullshit. I'm tired of people calling these very serious situations that are very traumatic. I'm tired of them calling it drama. It's not drama. This is life out here on the streets. Those prostitutes up there in Tacoma. That guy up there in Tacoma with the heroin needle hanging out of his arm. The security guards up there. The employees up there at the Starbucks on 72nd. The guy that stole my computer. The guy that helped my computer come back to me. The lady who stole my phone. That's all on video. That's all on my YouTube channel. It's all evidence that I've been telling the truth. Evidence that I've been jumping through hoops. I have gone through hell and back. But you have a cold. Same cold you've had for 6 years. You've got a cold. You can't be bothered with anybody else because you got a cold. You can post up on your YouTube and post up on your YouTube, your Twitter and your Twitch and your Facebook, and you can post all over all this stuff, all this fun stuff that you're going and doing. Well, you got a cold. And I'm supposed to understand, poor you, you've got a cold. Hey, you know what? I've been physically assaulted, sexually assaulted, had my life threatened, been repeatedly incarcerated for things that did not happen, been injected with drugs that literally killed people that you will post about that you don't even fucking know. Some of those people were literally killed by people who, of course, did those things to me as well, and I got fucking lucky is what I got. Tibra Hatay died. I didn't. I got lucky at Clearview. Tibra Hatay, well, his everlasting soul is apparently stuck in that place for all eternity, if you believe the hoopla from Hollywood. But I believe in science, not a bunch of wives' tales about trolls and witches and unicorns. It's a nice notion, but yeah, I live on planet Earth, people. I don't live in Narnia. I don't live in a Tolkien book. I don't live in one of Homer's plays. I live in the United States of America in December of 2022. I am in Tillamook, Oregon. I know the time and place. When I bring up historical reference, it's not because I believe I live in the Roman Empire. It's because there are lessons to be learned. You guys wanted help or needed help. I helped. I helped how you asked. Well, you guys have given me 6 years of complete and total bullshit. 6 years of showing me that you don't give a shit. You think your pretty words are help? They're not. You think your excuses are help? They're not. You think that's what a friend would do? Is that what I would do for you? If you came to me and told me that you were being abused, what would I do? What have I done repeatedly for you and in front of you for others? Caitlin Tatum has probably seen me stick up for others at least 100 times in front of her face, in front of her own 2 eyes. All of those Starbucks employees, going back to the very first one who took me under his wing. His name is Tom, by the way, who is incredibly gay. And I like it that way. He's not like Wraith, who wants to force me to be a homosexual and has a 5-year plan to turn me gay. He's not like Ariana, who gets drunk and belligerent and wants to just unabashedly make a play for my penis. Tom isn't like Bo, who instead of coming forward wanted to ask me to send pictures of me masturbating for him. No, Tom was an okay guy. He's a cool guy. He is a totally groovy dude. He's also the one that found Aaron. He's the one that, when I first started walking people to the garbage can for their safety, it's because there was some homeless people that were literally going to kill Aaron by the garbage can. They backed him into a corner and were going to fucking stab him to death. So I was asked by the lady who was the manager at that point in time if I would escort them out because I happened to have a way with the homeless, and everything turned out famous from there. Well, until a situation with Devin Cockerill where, because of her misunderstanding, this is a pretty white girl, and the fact that by the time she actually did address the issue, I'd already been abused to the point by the police and been without sleep long enough from fucking abuse by the police, not letting me sleep, severe panic attacks, and then Josh Hughes being a fucking douchebag to me. You know, by that point, yeah, it was pretty much a wasted effort. See, by that point, I'd already had pretty much everybody that I knew either straight up blow me off or tell me that they would talk to me. This is after I hurt my back, but before Natalie came into my life, by the way. Now, all of these people that I went to for help, who want to play victim because I show that I did in fact go to them for help, I'm showing that for a reason. My predators got away because the police lied and said that I didn't try to get help. Tens of thousands of dollars show that I was jumping through their hoops until I no longer had the money to do so. My disability money was not enough, and I didn't get these millions of dollars that you think I got from GoFundMe's. You know how many dollars I got from GoFundMe's? Not a fucking penny. Those were started by Carl Rogers, and Candace Bondurant. If there's any money to be had and you're pissed off because you got ripped off because you donated money, and I know you donated money, I got to see that part. But you guys don't get to come after me for that. You go after Candace Bondurant if you want your fucking money back. You go to Carl Rogers if you want your fucking money back. I never saw one fucking penny of what you put on those GoFundMes. And for you pieces of shit to throw that shit in my face. Especially after helping Ted Bollinger to get away. Over $20,000 he got paid for his daughter dying. He went on vacations. Well, you guys treat me like I'm on a vacation, moving from place to place, being fucking victimized because I have no friends or family. You're fakes. I wouldn't have had to threaten the President of the United States or light a fucking fire. If any one of you had given a fuck enough to actually help to turn this shit in, Natalie Bollinger would still be alive. If just one of you had actually given an actual fuck for over a year before she was killed. But none of you did. Some of you in concept did. I show up with the cigarettes you want. I show up with the weed that you want. I show up to the Starbucks that you want me to when you ask me to. I show up at the First United Methodist Church when you ask me to. I showed up at the library when you asked me to. And did any of those people show up? No, none of them did. Meanwhile, I had to deal with people threatening and harassing me and telling me they're gonna fucking kill me and shit like that. I needed help stopping this abuse. And the friends who said they would come see me in person never showed up. Instead, the people who were abusing me showed up. What the fuck? And then, of course, after the fact, I understand completely why it is that although I told the truth and the conversations between them and me showed that I told the truth, and it showed that, of course, they were offering to help me. And then, of course, last minute, there's always some excuse why they can't. Yeah. You know, out of all these people who you let get away with all of the crimes that they have committed, that there is evidence of them committing, out of all of these predators, and yes, if you're going to pretend like you're a friend and you're going to show that you're not, don't pretend to care. All right, I can't take care of myself, okay? If you can't get a fucking solid grasp on that, you don't fucking care. I can't take care of myself, thank you very much. Because of your complacency, because of your friendship. What kind of a friendship is it? It's always one-sided. I maintain the friendships. If I didn't, you people would have forgotten I exist. When you need help, I show up. When I need help, you make excuses because you don't want it to interrupt your party. Or it's too much of a hassle to actually give a fuck about another human being. What would I do if Donald Trump come up to my vehicle tonight? It's cold as a motherfucker in here. I've got extra blankets. I'd fucking give him one. I'd offer him the extra jacket I got here, but I don't think his fat ass would fit into it. And no, that's not a fat person joke. His backside, if you tried to zip up that jacket right there, his backside wouldn't let him get the bottom of the zipper up. Neither would the rest of his torso. But if he could get the bottom of it up, he could kind of sort of keep a little bit of heat in. But yeah, I'd have to give him a blanket. No, I wouldn't actually kill the president, ever. I'm not interested in killing people. I had to do desperate shit because nobody gave a fuck. They were giving me pretty words. But it's understandable why Kayla Trujillo never came forward with that to the public or to the police. Because it's kind of a two-part question, isn't it? Did Sean come to you for help? Yes, he did. Did you tell him that you would help? Yes, I did. Or, of course, there's the, did you offer to help Sean how he needed? Yes, I did. But what's the second part to that? Why didn't you? Why didn't you follow through? Why did you lead him on? Why did you look the other way? Why, knowing that he is being abused over something that you knew to be untrue, why did you not come forward about it before this? And none of these people want to answer that. Not Brenda Dickinson, not Lanny Engeline, not Brandon Ratner, not Veronica Randall. Nobody wants to fucking answer that question, do they? Why didn't you? Because your son was in the vehicle? Understandable, I recorded it. So, all you got to do is come forward. They're not going to listen to it if I try to show it. Coming forward requires some actual effort. Kayla Trujillo wasted hundreds and hundreds of hours of mine making empty promises of she's gonna. Same thing with Mandy Hughes. There's only so much bullshit I'm willing to take before you gotta go. You gotta get the hell off of my Facebook. For goddamn sure, if I see another sexist post or racist post out of you, when I've let you know that I'm being kind and allowing you the opportunity to leave, that's not a fucking hint. There's nothing hinty about that. That's straight the fuck up. If you don't take the opportunity to leave, that's your choice. If you're not my friend, you go away, or I'm going to chastise you publicly. You had the chance to be a friend. You had the chance to be an honest and forthright person. You had the opportunity to do the honorable thing. Don't call me friend. Don't do it. The last thing I wanted to do was to actually threaten somebody's life. But no matter how many people threatened my life, my friends just wanted to tell me just to let it go. That's always your advice to a male when he's being abused, isn't it? Just let it go. Donald Trump didn't do anything to me. My line of thinking at that point is, hey, the FBI are a bunch of fucking idiots. They're ignoring me. Kara Johnson Miles is completely fucked in the head. Danica Garner didn't keep her word. Cara Rogers didn't keep her word. Rochelle Campbell didn't keep her word. The cops didn't keep their word. Candace Bondurant didn't keep her word. Nobody is expected to keep their word or to be held accountable to their words. Nobody feels that they should be held accountable for what they did, for their manipulations, for their threats, for their harassment. Nobody feels that they should be held responsible. You know, all these people telling me that their lives are at risk and that people are threatening to kill their families resulted in me attempting suicide. Actually attempting it before they found, of course, Joseph Michael Lopez, the guy who actually blew her brains out. Meanwhile, they kept letting Ted out. Ted kept fucking with me. Him and his daughter Alicia. That's Natalie's twin sister. See, here's the thing about that dumb cunt. She's not willing to face me in court, but she'll help the guy who raped her and her sister to harass me and to manipulate me at my own grandma's funeral, just like they were pulling that shit for Natalie's funeral. They never stopped. But the courts gave them whatever the fuck they wanted because not one of my friends was a real friend. Not one of them made any actual effort to turn in what they knew or to speak up. I didn't make you cowards. You know, here was my thinking about if I was in prison for 20 years. My predators are all gonna fucking die. Every fucking one of them are going to die. They're all gonna die. Every one of them. Whether I love them or not, none of us get to live forever. Not one of us. When you're gone, you're gone. When you're dead, there is no more opportunity to right your wrongs. There is no more opportunity to make amends. There is no more opportunity to repent. Now, Natalie Bollinger played Christian at the end of her life, but how do we know she didn't believe in God? Because she did not repent. She did not repent. If she had, she'd have told them the truth. To the public, to her friends, to my predators. She would have told the truth before having Joseph Michael Lopez blow her brains out. Me having to go to drug dealers and drug addicts and alcoholics. This is who I got to go to for help. Well, yeah, I already knew that. I don't got no fucking illusions about what it's like being a fucking disabled person in America. I have no fucking illusions about what the term mentally ill actually means in real life to you pieces of shit. I have no fucking illusions about what it's like out on the streets. I have no fucking illusions about human trafficking. None. This shit is raw, real, and unfucking cut. The only reason that I don't film every single moment of every single day is because I don't have the ability to. The time when I don't have the ability to, I'm just working on my computer or working on my phone, collecting evidence and getting it sent to people. Now, since I can't record that with my phone, while I'm using my phone to do that, well, I don't get to record all the time, do I? Now we got our good friend here, Mr. Adavand, again, typing this telekinesis bullshit. He's probably playing GTA 4 right this very moment. What a fucking idiot. What do we do to these guys' accounts? That's right, we take a screenshot. Hide user on this channel. Blam! See how easy that was? I'm also getting faster on the draw with taking pictures. Because he always tries to add one more in there before it ends up with deleting the message. Yep. I figured out the timing on that one, dummy. Moral of the story is, I admit to the shit that I do. As far as any of my victims, there's only one. His name is Donald Trump. He did not deserve to have his life threatened by me. He absolutely did not deserve that. It was a means to an end. If I'm locked up, when my predators end up dead, and they will end up dead, at least if I'm locked up, they're not going to blame it on me and go after my family. But then again, what about Christine Bouhid? She died while I was incarcerated, didn't she? I thought that her and Mobley both died while I was incarcerated, but Mobley actually died after I got out, I think. It might be the opposite, I'm not sure, actually. We'll have to look into that. That's one of the things about these fucking nut jobs that wanted to get a hold of me and start accusing me of doing all sorts of shit to her. Like, hey, you know what? I get that there's a video where I was able to literally project her death months before she died. Yes, well, actually it was, I want to say almost 2 years before she died. I knew if she got housing, being as she was a drug addict, that she was going to overdose in that housing. I've had enough people that I knew that were drug addicts out on the street, got housing, and ended up dead in exactly that fashion. Any idiot who grew up on the streets could see that coming like a fucking ton of bricks. That'd be like a entire fucking barn driving down the interstate. Yeah, that's gonna stick out. That's something you're gonna remember. And the more it happens, the more you're like, holy shit, this is a fucking epidemic. It's like the worst thing you can do for an addict is give them a place to do their drugs unabashedly. Because then all the other people that want a place where they can do their drugs unabashedly are going to go there to do their drugs unabashedly. They're going to pay their rent, which would probably be them drugs they're bringing over to use unabashedly to share with people like Christine or Drake. And what happens then? Oh shit, she's dead, everybody better split. Or oh, he's dead, everybody better split. Landlord finds him days later, flies all over the fucking windows. Why are the windows black in that? Oh my god, it's all flies. What the fuck is that smell? I thought the sewer line broke. No, that ain't a sewer line, bud. That's a dead body. That's a dead body. Out of all of these people that I'm mad about their complacency and what they did to help my predators get away, helping child molesters get away, helping rapists get away, helping murderers get away, helping corrupt cops to get away and to kill others. You know, I wonder how many of my predators are going to end up dead. Many of them are probably going to end up dead over violent means because they're stupid, they're druggies, and they don't care about anybody but themselves, and that eventually is going to come bite them all in the ass. Now, that is a statement of fact, not a threat. Obviously, I try to get as far away from those predators as possible. If they end up dead, they done it. They done pissed off somebody who isn't as kind as I am. And that person who is not as kind as I am promptly and swiftly remove them from having to fuck our world up anymore. So I suppose we should be thankful to the people who do those things instead of hating them. I suppose we should be thankful when somebody takes one of these predators out, but I'm not. It makes them a martyr. It somehow magically justifies all of the cruel things that they did in their lives. Donald Trump didn't deserve none of this. Donald Trump. I didn't victimize anybody else. Good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and no victim left behind.